Good morning. It's actually happy Sunday morning, although you're going to be seeing this on a Monday. It's happy Sunday today to all my LinkedIn networkers, and hopefully you're having a great Monday morning. I'm back again to do a coffee talk. Thanks to my buddy Matt Welsh at Stone Creek for sending me this wonderful coffee. Today I'm doing some Three Volcanoes. It's dark Guatemala. I will tag Mark in this, Marshall, I'm sorry. I'll tag Marshall in this post, and I'll also include a link to his Stone City coffee website, so you guys can go ahead and get yourself some of that delicious coffee. Really briefly, as I mentioned before, and I'll just mention this every time, I am now getting to that 30,000 contact limit set by LinkedIn, which I don't understand because it's supposed to be networking and you're supposed to network with as many people as possible, but hopefully someday the great minds at Microsoft will decide to take that limit off our databases, but we'll see. But I figure I want to start sharing the fact that I have all these contacts, and hopefully that by introducing you to some of these contacts, you guys can all benefit from it. You can maybe hook up with them and start networking together, and we can just kind of share the love, so to speak. Really briefly, my name again is Robert Seeger, and I'm a 20-plus year veteran of technology, senior leadership. I consider myself to be a servant senior leader. I like to build teams and bring them together and connect them. I like to bring companies a little bit further than where they're at from a technology perspective, sort of to bridge that gap between business and technology and how we can leverage that to sort of grow and really kind of reach for the future and make ourselves better organizations. Personally, I tend to really like working with the small, mid-sized to privately owned businesses, only because they don't have some of the advantages that the bigger, larger corporations have. So someone like me with my connections and my breadth of experience, I feel like I can really help out organizations like that, and I feel like that's a really good fit for me. So that's me in sort of a nutshell. Anybody wants to talk to me, just please feel free to go ahead in the comments below and tag me, and I'll be very happy to hook up with you, or if you have an opportunity I'd like me to take a look at, I'd be very happy to do that. But really today we're here to talk to my buddy Chuck Hester. I've known Chuck for a number of years. He's been very good to me. He's a LinkedIn guru. I like to think he's one of my inspirations. So I'm going to let Chuck go ahead and kind of give you his fantastic background.
Bob, it's always a pleasure, and every time you reach out, I'm always going to say yes, you know that. So I greatly appreciate you and your lovely wife and all the things that we've been able to do. And just side note, one of my favorite speeches was given in a place called Cancun, Mexico, where we got a chance to hang out. So I really appreciate that. I'm Chuck Hester, LinkedIn Maven. The Maven is a person who has knowledge and gives it to others. Guru and expert drive me crazy, but that's just because we're never going to be gurus sitting on top of the mountains and nobody's an expert. So anyway, I'm at we're close to where Bob is. I'm at 20,000 plus as far as direct LinkedIn connections. I help executives learn how to use LinkedIn for business branding, customer service, business development, and have done that for a number of years, along with several other things that I'm doing. I've been in marketing and PR for close to 30 plus years, and it keeps those numbers keep rising, Bob, for whatever reason. I'm not sure I understand that. But anyway, I will connect with you without any difficulty. If you go to LinkedIn and in the search bar type in hashtag LITIP, you can get a chance to see my status updates on a regular basis. And one of them that I always mention is never send me a generic invitation. All you really need to do is say, I saw you on Coffee with Bob and we'd like to connect. That would be enough for me to accept that connection. So I look forward to adding to my database as well.
Very cool. So let me ask you a question, John. If there was like one tip that you'd like to just sort of freely give out to everybody from a LinkedIn perspective and networking on LinkedIn, what would that tip be?
The tip, which I just kind of mentioned earlier, which is personalize. I mean, you really honestly need to personalize the connections that you whether it's a message or a LinkedIn invitation, whatever it may be, you really need to look at that. One of my favorite people is a gentleman named Bob Berg, who created the Go Givers series of books, and his phrase is know, like, and trust. You need to know somebody, then like them, and trust them before you do business with them. So folks who come in and send me a LinkedIn invitation and say, hey, we've got a great profile, love love to connect. And then immediately the next message is, and here's my services, and would you like to set up an appointment to talk about them? Those people have a tendency to be disconnected fairly quickly. So it's important. Bob, you and I have known each other, I think we're going on like 8 years probably.
Yeah.
And we've met in person several times and had a chance to really get to know each other, like each other, and trust each other. No doubt about that. To the point where when you came here and said, "Can we do this?" I immediately said yes. So that's the bottom line.
Very cool. Now, so there's been a lot of talk, and right now, I think the biggest talk on LinkedIn, at least in most of the news feeds that I see these days, are about people that are trying to find work, that are looking for work, and they're talking about how the HR process is sort of broken right now, right? The software that they're using really takes out the personalization, really takes out knowing what that person can do. And a lot of the talk, from Bridget Hyacinth and Oleg and all those guys come forward, their biggest advice is stick with it, just stick with it, keep going, which is great. And I think you need to do that. You need to have that mentality to do it. But when it comes to the applicant tracking systems, right? There are all kinds of guys out there on LinkedIn who tell you they can teach you how to beat it. But in your humble words or in your wisdom, what do you think is the best way to sort of get past those application tracking systems and really leverage LinkedIn to find a job?
Yeah, and in the last couple of years, I've had to walk through that, and no disparaging remarks necessarily, but we've got millennials out there who are looking at ATS and say that's the way to go. If you don't hit all of those keywords, then we're going to put you aside. That's an issue. I've been able to do what I kind of, quite frankly, have a formula for that. If you see here's a good for instance. If you see a LinkedIn job that's posted, the best thing you can do is reach out to people that within that organization. If you do. Find out who they are and say, what, can you give me more information about what's going on and a warm introduction to the hiring manager? That's the most important thing. With the caveat, by the way, to make sure that you always apply through the applicant tracking system, because that's going to be the first question that hiring manager is going to come back and ask you, have you applied? And if you're going to be able to say, yes, I have, that always helps as well. So, you're looking for lack of a better way to put the sponsors into those organizations to be able to get that done. But, you really do need to get past the bots, if you will, the ATSs out there, the keywords and what's going on, and make it personal. I mean, that's going to be the bottom line. Say, hey, send a quick email or a message to the hiring manager. Say, I understand you're looking to hire a VP of marketing. Let's talk. Excuse me.
That's okay.
Yeah, let's talk. It chokes me up every time I talk about it. But seriously, and the other part of that is too, use the status update. Update on a regular basis in the information areas that you are supposed to be a subject matter expert and that they're hiring for. And if you do that, folks on LinkedIn, look at those. They really honestly pay attention to what's going on. You and IT, me and marketing, on a regular basis, we're posting and getting status updates out there. So it really does make a difference.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, good advice. I think that's really great advice. And I think one of the things that I want to introduce really quick, and I don't want this to go too long, and I would take up a lot of your time, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah.
What a lot of other people don't realize about you and should know about you is that you're a very giving individual. Both you and your lovely wife, Stephanie, have a real passion for giving back and paying it forward. And oftentimes you have some great posts on LinkedIn about paying it forward. So maybe if you can, just really quickly, kind of talk to us about what that passion for paying forward is.
Yeah, and it's really stems from early on what happened to us as far as what we were able to do, struggling economically or whatever it may be, and folks paid it forward to us. Paying it forward is really cool. There's two things I'll talk to you about that real quick. One is we all have the habit of doing a favor for somebody and then paying it back, and that's always been the way we look at it. Well, paying it forward, you're halfway there because you've done a favor for somebody, and when you do, and they say thank you, so that's great. Now pay it forward to somebody else. Don't pay it back to me. So that's an easy way to do that. The other thing is, I really love the phrase "the small big," and the small big is basically this. Say, for instance, Bob Seeger's out looking for a job and really would like an introduction to a hiring manager. It takes me 3 minutes to send that email and help out. It's a small thing for me to do, but it's big for you. I mean, it really does make a big difference as to what you've got going on. So think about those when you get somebody coming forward and saying, "Hey, I need some help." It takes 2 minutes to help somebody out, and that becomes you have no clue necessarily how big that can be and what a difference it can make in a person's life.
Absolutely, that's wonderful, and I've really embraced that practice of paying it forward as well too. I don't think I've ever turned anyone away as far as when they've asked me to reach out to someone in my network or look for an introduction. I think it's critically important. And tell Stephanie that don't think I haven't noticed that she hasn't gotten back to me yet, because I want to host her for a coffee talk too. Because
she mentioned that this morning, as a matter of fact, because she's due to contact you, Bob.
Yeah. Stephanie Hester's doing some amazing things. To all the folks out there that are listening to this, just go ahead and Google Stephanie's name and take a look at her website, and you'll just be amazed at what these two people are doing. So, Chuck, I just want to thank you very much for joining me on this and for participating. I hope it leads to many great things for you, and I hope the people that are watching it today take a lot of what you had to say to heart. I think it's really important.
Appreciate it, Bob. Anytime.
Thank you. All right. Hang on.